I think it's going to be very difficult for the next 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to be as strong and successful as the first 10 years. By and large, the superhero genre is massively oversaturated with films and TV shows, and it's going to come to an end at some point. The law of diminishing returns is inevitable. Comic book superhero films are going to begin to feel the pinch at the box office, and a slow decline will ensue. For Marvel, this is likely going to be accelerated by the retirement of a few well-known characters from the franchise after Avengers Endgame, including the main figureheads, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and the Hulk, with Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and Mark Ruffalo due to bow out soon, although apparently Ruffalo has one more film left. A few other major players are remaining on board for now, and I'm not going to go through the list of all of the people who are staying on with the franchise, but nevertheless, these primary male leads will leave a massive vacuum behind, one that won't be filled by Brie Larson's Captain Marvel or any other group of superheroes. No doubt there will be many more successful MCU films in the future, but I think Endgame would have been the ideal way of shelving the franchise. The name alone is of course suggestive of closure, and I personally don't really want to see the series continue without the likes of Tony Stark, Thor, or Captain America. It's just not going to be the same, and the magic those characters and actors brought to the saga will be impossible to replace. Of course, let's be honest, this cinematic universe has only ever been about one thing: making money. So it will continue until it has completely worn out its welcome and fans are tired of it. While the powers that be still have their way and they can smell a quick buck to make out of a multi-billion-dollar cash cow, they'll keep on milking it until there's nothing left. This is why I believe that the next 10 years are going to be much less lucrative and creative than the first 10. Like many fans, I'm already getting a very bad vibe from the upcoming Captain Marvel film, which I believe will be very commercially successful, but it will likely not be as successful as the filmmakers and investors anticipated. Let's be honest, the fans have been vocal from the release of the trailers. Brie Larson is, I believe, a very questionable casting choice for this film. She has very little charisma, and the worry is that she's been brought in to fill the void left by Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man as one of the new spiritual leaders of the Avengers/MCU. And I will, of course, point out at this stage that we don't know if the Avengers movies are going to continue or if we're just going to have standalone movies from now on with a few crossovers here and there. It's entirely possible, however. Already things aren't looking that great. Some fans have reacted to Larson's emotionless and wooden facial expressions in the promo photos and trailers, telling her to smile more. Of course, the media described these fans as trolls. Larson responded by digitally applying smiles to the faces of her male MCU counterparts. Interestingly enough, fans never leveled the same criticism at the beloved Black Widow because she didn't look bored like Brie Larson does. She looks intense, and she looks like she's actually acting. The other actors at least looked heroic, intense, and kind of broody. But Larson just looks bored, to be honest. So this cannot be the character that replaces the charisma of someone like Tony Stark. Responding to the fans in this way is not the way to go either. The lessons of Star Wars need to be learned. Don't disrespect the people who you want to go and pay to see your film. Also, Larson probably didn't do herself any favors in the eyes of some audience members when she gave a speech a few months back saying the following:
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
That's actually a film that was so woke, it literally went broke. It was a massive box office failure. I already covered that speech in a previous video, link below. Recently, Larson has also said that Captain Marvel is her form of activism. This is from boundingintocomics.com. Larson spoke with Marvel's Vice President of Content and Character Development, Sana Amanat, I'm probably mispronouncing that, or an article in InStyle about her upcoming role as Captain Marvel. Amanat was the editor for Marvel's Miss Marvel series, which introduced Kamala Khan. Larson does get back to her idea of turning Captain Marvel into an opportunity to push her activism. Inclusion has to be a choice. It's not happening naturally. You really have to fight for it. Amanat describes that Larson will push the activism during her global press tour for Captain Marvel, describing that she has pledged to spotlight other women behind the scenes, insisting on gender and racial parity in the press and wearing mostly female designers. Okay, Captain Equality, female designers. What's that got to do with the film? I'm not sure this emphasis on identity politics will be really popular, given that Americans are sick of it, by the way. Also, all those award shows, they got woke. How are those TV ratings for the Oscars and Emmys doing? People don't want to be lectured to about progressive identity politics and diversity. People want good stories and not obsessing about the skin color and gender of the cast and crew. There's a new trailer that's been released with yet another girl power message right at the start, where one character says, "We've got to show these boys how we do it." So we've got some feminist Mary Sue Top Gun thrown in there for good measure, I guess. Anyway, my prediction is that Captain Marvel will be commercially successful, as it will of course benefit from being a lead-in to Avengers Endgame, but it may not be as successful as initially expected, and if it does contain too much wokeness or female empowerment messaging, for example, you can expect that to be reflected in the audience reaction. The film doesn't grab me from the trailers, and the lead actor should be able to entice you to see the film from their performance and what they bring to the role. The only thing that interests me about this film is seeing the CGI effects used to make Sam Jackson look younger. Now that should say something about where I stand on this film.